Hey, kia ora, shemai, or I should also say today, hola, to the latest episode of all will be revealed in a second as to why we've gone Spanish. To this latest episode of the Be Better podcast. Thank you, as ever, to our regular listeners. As I keep saying every week, I listen to some very big podcasts with like multi-million-dollar budgets, and they are begging for likes and subscribes. So I feel quite entitled to also beg for a like or subscribe if you're listening to this on YouTube or your preferred podcast platform. Anyway, without further ado, it is a big hola rather than, I suppose it would be normally a howdy, maybe, or what would be the typical Floridan hello to Sirena.
The Floridian hello. I don't know. Hi, y'all.
Hi,
Something like
y'all. Bit southern.
Hey, y'all.
But you're originally normally in Florida, but you're actually in Spain on holiday right now doing this podcast with me. So I'm hugely grateful to you making some time on your holiday, which is why, Sirena, if you're watching the video, she is bedecked by some beautiful flowers, and there's just a gentle chirping of the morning chorus of birds in the background as she's sitting in Spain on holiday. So go you.
Yeah, it's quite serene and brings you back to nature, right? Even if it's just in a little backyard. But yeah, it helps you feel connected.
Yeah, something which I think Europeans do really well. That sort of small terrace courtyard, but it's got beautiful plants, and you can get. When I was back in the UK about a year ago, staying with a mate of mine in Shropshire. Shout out to Tomo. He won't be listening, but his wife Lou might be listening. So hi Lou, if you're listening. And just the amount of bird life and nature and noise in they're in a fairly rural setting. You do forget when you live in a semi-urban. I live in the suburbs here in Christchurch, New Zealand. It's like you rarely hear a bird. You normally hear some idiot in a car going past too quickly.
I'm sorry to hear that. I think it's so important psychologically to kind of have some sort of wildlife in your backyard and hear it. Also, there's nothing here in Spain that's going to immediately kill you. So,
well, we're good for that in New Zealand. It's Australia that's got death and destruction on every corner. Although New Zealand's really good at going, oh, come to New Zealand, don't go to Australia because there's like loads of animals and snakes. But what they don't tell you about here is the 50 active volcanoes under their major city and the earthquakes. So they keep that really, really quiet. So that's not a public service announcement on behalf of the New Zealand Tourist Board. Maybe I should get sponsorship from the Australian Tourist Board or the Floridian Tourist Board.
Yeah, there you go.
But we're not here to talk about Spain and tourism and Australia. I was trying to think earlier on. How did we first meet? Were we initially on a panel event somewhere, or did I just connect with you on LinkedIn because I was like, hey, there's someone else who knows B Corp stuff? I can't actually remember how we connected, but it was a few years ago.
It was a few years ago. I can't remember how we connected. I want to say it was probably through LinkedIn.
More than likely.
And then we just started chatting. I don't remember. Isn't that weird? I don't remember.
And now you can't get rid of me. I just keep harassing you and say, hey, come and do a podcast with me. And
and I'm always happy to talk about B Corps and a purpose-driven lifestyle. So anytime. Hey, everybody, call me.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it's been a bit the same here. Yeah, just people said to me, oh, would you be all right to come and talk about B Corp at this event? It's like, I'll go to the opening of an envelope if I get to talk about B Corp to a room of people who might vaguely be interested in listening. So yeah, I think it's all part of the story as to where we are right now with B Corp. On one hand, it feels like everyone knows about B Corp, but then you kind of go, actually, we're still at 0.01% of the global business community as a B Corp. So actually no one knows about B Corp.
I feel like it's still early stages, depending on where you live. B Corp did this assessment and they went out and asked a bunch of people, and their numbers are quite high. And I'm pretty sure that they asked people in California, which would make
they stopped one street of people outside a B Corp office. Have you heard of B Corp?
Because I have done my own personal, inquiry. And in Florida, for example, it's much slower than that. So I do feel like it's part of my mission in life to educate people on what a B Corp is. and how it can change their lives. It can give you back power as a consumer, it can definitely give you power as a business leader or an entrepreneur. And it just makes you feel good that you can, support these businesses that really do want to shift the capitalistic environment that we have today. Also, even in Spain, I was just at the grocery store, and Spain is even worse than probably Florida, as far as
Not in general, but
knowledge.
just for B Corp.
No, knowledge in these kinds of things. They're actually better off being more green because they're
Yeah.
European and laws and things in place that we don't have. We'll never probably have in Florida. Um, but at the store, I saw even my daughter was like, we were shopping for, I don't usually buy big containers of water because I have my own filtration system,
Yeah.
but we're on holiday and we don't have that. So I had to buy some water. And my daughter's like, oh, look, this one, it's local and it's a B Corp. I'm
It's like, yes.
like,
High
winner!
fives. Yeah. I'll take a lot. Do you find yourself having this is how geeky I am about B Corp. So we were in the States in January on holiday, and we were in Phoenix, and we needed some like natural health supplement type stuff. And we were going down the aisle, and is it I want to say Moody? It's like they're a B Corp brand anyway of like natural health supplements. I should probably fact check that. Anyway, I was like, we need to get these ones because like they're a B Corp. And my wife and daughter, like, yeah, whatever, rolled their eyes. And I went up to the store manager and I was like, oh, take just like out of curiosity, did you know what this B thing is? And he's like, I've got no idea. And so I ended up having a 30-minute conversation with the dude, explaining to him what it is. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's kind of neat. And he's like, yeah, my daughter's all over this stuff. Like, she's always banging on at me to do more good and recycle more. And he was probably a guy in his late 50s, early 60s. And yeah, it's just interesting. Like that's how geeky I am about B Corp. I will just have conversations with strangers to go, like, how much you know about this, and do people choose this? And now that you know about that, would you be more likely to, recommend that to a customer? So
I absolutely know that because I've done this same thing in Miami at a Warby Parker store, is one of my favorite stores. I
nice.
was getting classes and I asked them how they liked working there. And interestingly enough, everybody liked it more than the places that they had worked before. And I was like, well, do you know that you work for a B Corp and what a B Corp is? And after I did the whole spiel, and these are employees at a B Corp. So, hey, Warby Parker,
Yeah,
let's
just
get that internal education going.
yeah. It's really hit and
They
miss with some
love
of those
the whole
bigger
thing.
conversations. Some of those bigger organizations like that. Yeah. But yeah, I had the same again when I was in the UK last year. There's a UK brand. I'm pretty sure it's called Fat Base. Should just fact check that as well. I need to try and fact check the supplement. I'm pretty sure it's Fat Face who are a B Corp. They're like a clothing brand, and they just announced their B Corp certification. I'm pretty sure it's Fat Face. Let me just double check that. Yes, Fat Face are a B Corp. Or as a B Corp. And same thing. I went to a small rural town called Ludlow in Shropshire. There probably is no US equivalent. It's got a castle for a start, but it's quite a small town. Like pretty much fairly in the middle of nowhere. And then I always like I always like testing the staff and say, oh, this B thing, what's all that about? And these two young ladies behind the counter were like, oh, we're a certified B Corporation. It's a third-party independent verification of our social environment performance. We scored da-da-da-da-da. We scored really well on these sections, and we're working really hard to be better on this one. And I was just like, give me some high fives. I am a B Corp. That is 100% correct. I'm like, I love it. And again, I said to them, has that made a difference for you working here? And they said, yeah, actually, for us, it just showed that the company actually cares. And it's like, cool. You're two transient retail workers who most other companies would give absolutely no F's about, but you've now got a connection. And it's like, that's pretty cool. So yeah, exciting times. We've gone so far down the road already, but we haven't even really introduced us to who you are and what you do. So let's back up that truck. So just tell us a little bit, for those of you listening, not watching. Sirena is she's tagged herself as the sustainable branding sensei. So for those of you who don't know, we'd probably guess that you're involved in branding and marketing of some description. So tell us a little bit about what do you do?
Yes, absolutely. So, Creative Chi is my branding agency, and I like to think that the more brands that I can get my hands on and co-create, more purpose-driven branding and brands into the world, sort of, um, better place. It's a win-win for everybody. If I can get your brand to that level where it's, creating an impact in the world and creating an impact in your pocket, because we all know that people, planets, and profits, we want those three things. I come from the world of graphic design and luxury publications, and I did that for over a decade and pretty much realized that I was in the business of using my talents to con people into buying crap that they didn't need, that was terrible for the planet. I was a cog in a machine. I had no authority, no voice. I really felt crappy going to work every day. And I just thought that that's how everybody felt. Eventually, I was done with it. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to use my talents to do those things. So I left, and I started my own agency. And shortly after starting my own agency, and I cannot remember who it was, I want to say it was a yoga instructor that said, well, why don't you just, do this for B Corps? And I was like, well, what's a B Corp? And that was about, oh man, I guess it was about 9 years ago now. And so I did. I took my agency through the whole process so that I could understand what a B Corp was. I thought, if I want to work for B Corps, the only way to be in integrity with that is to have my agency become a B Corp. So I went through the B Corp process, and I just did my third one last year.
Yeah.
So it's 7 going on 8 years now that I've been a B Corp. I've done 3 um, of the assessments. And I wouldn't have it any other way, for many, many, many reasons. My own business's theory of change is just that the more that we can shift capitalism, the more that consumers feel like they have a voice, employees feel like they have a voice, and businesses can actually make. I mean, businesses run the world. Let's just be honest. The people that are putting money in the politicians' pockets are corporations. So if we can change that system, and not by laws, even though that would be magical if tomorrow somebody was in power and they were like, okay, we're just going to change the laws. But we've seen that that doesn't work, that then the other person that maybe isn't friendly with these laws comes into power and shifts everything right back. So if we can put the power where the power really is, in the corporations, of course, we're not going to convince, Exxon to change its ways, but why can't we birth something that's going to really go head to head with it and compete and do better in the world? And that path, it really is B Corp.
Totally
I feel
agree.
like I just went from who I am to
To how we
I want
change
to
the
change
world.
the world. Yeah.
That's no, I love you. I think we have a similar level of energy and a similar kind of view on. I mean, I totally agree. I'm in the middle of writing a book on B Corp, and one of the sort of, not a chapter, but one of the sections in one of the chapters is why business is at the forefront of change. Because as an individual, there's only so much you can change and affect change. Politicians completely purchased. Was it Louis C.K., the US comedian, who said that politicians should have jackets like NASCAR races, so you can see who they've
Yes.
been bought by. It's like, let's just, what's the other one? Like Nancy Pelosi, her rate of return on her investments is like 500 times that of even the best Wall Street trader. And you kind of go, well, what a coincidence. She's the one setting the rules and regulations, and she seems to be ahead of the curve on investments and where to put it. Wow, just the coincidence, I'm sure. The big example, the big example I like to use of that is actually Obama, because he for many years was anti same-sex marriage, but it was only when it became a vote-winning issue that he actually flipped and was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to change. I feel it's rarely that a politician has a genuine epiphany based on insight, knowledge, and personal growth. It's typically around, okay, what does the swing voter say? Okay, which way, what do I need to stand for today to get the votes? And so I agree. That's why I think business because if we have better business, they will demand better politicians, and then you'll get the legislation change, because business will say, no, the rules aren't supporting what we want to achieve and how we want to achieve it. So I totally agree.
It's how the world is run right now. And as much as I want to change it, right now, the only real power that we have is the power of the purse. And if enough people get together and, force that purse, I do feel that we have power. And especially when you combine that with the power to be a good employee, the power to work at something that you love, and it's no longer work. Like we just talked about this 5 seconds ago before we started recording. I'm on holiday, but I took this call because this to me is not work. This is passion. It doesn't count. It doesn't count against my holiday hours. It's just part of my holiday.
Yeah, and I guess for me, I did another podcast interview earlier on today with Lucy Butler from Health Post. They're a New Zealand-based B Corp who sell like an online retailer for health supplements, and the depth of purpose and meaning and connection that she has with her job, and it's a family-owned business, and the meaning that she has in continuing the work that her mum started as a someone who was getting out of a pretty tough financial situation with a startup business. Like there's a like depth and meaning, and then so their business was started all around the idea of trying to help people get natural health, easier access to natural health products to fix health issues, because Lucy's mum had a significant health issue, so she did all the research, kind of fixed herself, and then was like, why are more people not having access to this? And that is now still at the core of what they do, and that sense of meaning and purpose and connection and authenticity, and how they evaluate what products they stock, and all of that, just it's so authentic and true. And that's what Lucy was saying, like the people who work for them, they sense that they have that depth of connection. I think it's the same for sort of people like you and me, where it isn't work. It's I mean, there was a famous quote like, there is no such thing as work-life balance. There's just life. And I think people doing meaningful work where you feel it is making a difference, it doesn't really feel like work. It's which I think to me comes back to that idea of purpose. And to geek out on you're not too far from Italy. The word vocation comes from the Latin vocale, to call. So a vocation is where something has called you to do it because that's what you're meant to do. And I kind of feel like the energy that you bring is because this is what you would this is why you exist right now. It's because you were destined to be part of this movement of getting people to wake up and go, there's a better way to do this thing.
There's a better way to do this. And I truly feel that, because I did the opposite for so long.
Same.
For over a decade, I was in there and I was just like, there's got to be more, because this sucks. I don't like this. This does not feel good. And I was like, well, everybody's doing it though. So I'll just shove it down and go on holiday and like do the things that I want to do outside of work. But when you take a step back and you're like, but I have to go back to that and use my talents to do things that I just am so opposed to. And I'm being part of the problem too. So, talk about body dysmorphia. I retouched women's bodies to heck and back because that's what we did. That was the norm. That was the standard. Nobody was going, oh, don't, remove every single wrinkle on that person's face, or, it wasn't until much now we're seeing it. Now it's like, it's not cool to retouch celebrities to that degree. I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution. And that chunk of where you go to work, that's where you spend the most of your time. So it's not really fair to tell somebody, oh, it's like, do it when you're out of work, and your extra time, your extra hours, like volunteer on the weekend. No. I mean, yes, do that. I realize that not everybody can leave their job, that they need to pay their bills. Do think about an exit strategy and working for a company that gives a crap about you. It's amazing to work in one of those companies. Many B Corps. You could go onto the website and see them all. There is also a directory of B Corp work. So B Corp's looking to hire people. Out too.
Definitely. And there's options now, because when you and I, because we started our B Corps for a similar time, there were 2 B Corps in New Zealand when I first connected to B Corp, and neither was hiring. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I better start my own one then.
I think that's exactly what happened to me too. In
Yeah.
Miami, there were 3 of us when I became a B Corp. And that's another thing, is I became a B Corp. I thought, yay, I'm gonna be in this network of other B Corps, and let me start calling all the B Corps around me. And then there was 3 of them, one of which it was like that was a dead end. And the other one never returned my phone call. So here I am all by myself in Miami. How do I build this community? And so that's what I did. And now we're like, I want to say that officially we're like 12 B Corps in Miami, but unofficially we have like 20 B Corps show up because we borrow a bunch of the B Corps from Latam. There's tons of Chilean B Corps that are kind of like between Chile and Miami.
Nice.
So we actually end up having even more B Corps than that are actually in Miami. So it's really cool.
Nice. Well, our journeys have been so similar because, when there would be a B Corp announced, I'd kind of go, yeah, but the founders originally from Christchurch and they started the business in Christchurch, even though they're now kind of in Auckland or Wellington. It's like, technically they're a Christchurch B Corp. We're totally having that on our, yeah. And it was,
There you go.
I think, yeah, like I say, our journeys have been very similar because, yeah, I think I was B Corp number 5, I think, in New Zealand. So, and most of those original ones were all in Christchurch. So if you're listening from outside of New Zealand, like Christchurch is this small city town in the South Island of New Zealand in the middle of nowhere, really. Although was voted last week the happiest city in New Zealand. So don't know what's happening here. Something's in the water. But it was very much the same. It was like the same 3 people. We turn up to, like B local events or any kind of B Corp. It's like, oh, hey, yeah, you still a B Corp? Yep, still a B Corp. Cool. Do you know anyone else? Yeah, no, don't know anyone. I spoke to my Uncle Dave. Yeah, he wasn't that enthralled by what we're doing. So yeah, he's probably a maybe. Yeah.
Yep, totally know that.
Yeah. But I think I think we'll look back in 20 years when there's so many B Corps. We'll go, God, do you remember back in 2018? God, blimey, when you were like cold calling people to sort of it's like, whereas now there'll be there's so many B Corps. That's my theory anyway. With your kind of moment, was there a specific moment where you just actually, I call it the FTS moment, when people actually get to that point and they just go, fuck this shit, like I'm done. And typically they kind of flip the table and give the fingers to the boss and throw something at them and go, right, like I'm burning all my bridges. Was there a specific, were you like airbrushing a specific model and you just thought that this is actually it? Or was it more of a series? I mean, obviously there's a series of little moments that lead to that, but was it like a really cool moment, or did you just kind of quietly quit, as they would say this day and age?
I did have a flip the table moment. It was more about the corporation not respecting the employees. So for a very, very long time, I was lucky enough to work for a company that had a very relaxed attendance policy. So in person, and this was way before remote work, but I had 2 children and I was allowed to work half days from home, which, trust me, I put in much more than half a day from home because I was breastfeeding. And they were like, yeah, we understand. We'll allow you to work half days in the office and half days from home. And at some point, there was a changing of the guard, and they said all, remote work, all flexible schedules, anything that we've done like that is done. There's no more of that. And I thought, yeah, I had been underpaid for a very long time, but willing to stay in a role where I had flexibility of schedule. I was like, if you're taking the last thing away from me, this is a flip the table moment. And that's what happened. And I walked out and was willing to sort of walk out without anything to go into or fall into. Because that was where I drew the line. Was it them taking away my flexible schedule? So I mean that line in the sand was okay, I'm accepting this. This is a personal thing more than, a global. Then all of the other things started to make sense. I was like, oh God, yeah, that place is, once you step away from the, I don't want to call it abuse, from
Yeah.
that toxic environment, you realize that you sort of, you don't have to do that, that there's something different, that there's something better, and that you can create your own path. But it is scary to
Totally.
walk away, to leave, to what's next, figure out your own path.
Totally.
Feeling a little bit like a failure because I didn't fit into the corporate mold and the corporate ladder, and I didn't, become the creative director or whatever was in slate next in the line. But so glad I did it, and so glad I took that risk, and then discovered B Corp because completely changed my life. I couldn't imagine if I would have been stuck in that cubicle till now, what would have happened.
Yeah, it's almost, it's like that. It's like a sliding door moment, isn't it? It's kind of like in a parallel universe, there's a Sirena somewhere trapped in that creative director role. I mean, but I think this is the thing, that there are thousands of people trapped in that role who maybe had that opportunity, but were actually, I mean, because I do genuinely think for a lot of people, it is like a Stockholm syndrome. It's you end up falling in love with your captor, and you recognize that there's a lot that you don't like, but there's maybe just enough that is rewarding you, maybe financially or with status, or trips overseas or whatever the thing is, that you kind of go, oh, okay, just one more year, and then next minute you're 60 and it's your retirement party, and they've got you, white wine, but you've told them, you've only ever drunk red wine, and it's like, really, you don't even know me to. I mean, I've heard of someone who left the company, and their CEO got them some like white wine, and they were kind of like, Dave, I've been out for dinner with you multiple times, and I'm pretty sure I only drink red wine. And it's like the guy had been at the company for 20 years, and you sort of go, that to me just sums up, what my experience of most corporations. It's kind of like, yeah, you're pretty expendable, we'll kind of look after you to a degree, but we don't really care about you. So yeah, good luck. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people, and I think it takes, it's takes the courage to do what you did, of kind of going, I've got nothing, I've got nowhere to go, but I'd rather be there than here.
Well, in a sense, I was dead as a creative, dead as an individual that has, I don't know, some sort of authority over what I'm doing, because I had to be a cog in that machine. That's just the way that business ran. That's just how it was. So now to be able to tell businesses or entrepreneurs that they can build a whole new system, and that they can give their employees more autonomy, authority, that the system has changed, and that I look at now at some of the B Corp creative agencies and some of the questions that come up, I'm like, wow, this wasn't even like something that would be a conversation that was to be had. Like, somebody was talking about how one of their employees was vegan and didn't particularly feel aligned to work on a meat advertisement. And they were like, absolutely, you're off of that one. Like, we'll find something else for you to work on. I mean, obviously the whole agency is not going to become vegan. We have to be realistic. But why should that person shouldn't work on a meat campaign? So those kinds of things and those conversations are coming up, and to think that, how much further we can even go from here, and really align work with people's values and what they want to create in the world, especially as creatives. I mean, if you're a bean counter, it's probably, you don't care what beans you're counting, they're beans. But as a creative, where your heart and soul goes into what you're creating, so much of you goes into it, you kind of care. And when you shove that down and you act like you don't care and you do it anyways, it comes to bite us in the butt, whether that's in the form of anxiety, hating your life, drinking, whatever. You're covering up, you're numbing yourself in
100%.
some crazy way.
Yeah, which I firmly believe that's most of the modern working world. The old Pink Floyd song, "Comfortably Numb." It's, most people are self-medicating on something, whether it's consciously, or I think for the vast majority subconsciously. It's like, I think that is the big thing. I think most people don't even, they might feel that lack of alignment, they might feel the kind of something's not right here, but I think most people, as soon as they even feel that, they just push it back down and go, exactly like you did, but everyone else is doing this, it's okay. I must be having a moment, let's just get back in the matrix, and away we go. And I think, there's so much conditioning around it that most people are doing that. So you do just kind of get, and I was the same when I had my moment. I was kind of like, I thought I'd gone mad. And then you meet this B Corp community, and you realize, okay, there's at the time there's like 1,000 other business owners who think that the idea of just making as much money as possible and to hell with the consequences for people or planet, they actually do think it's a dumb idea. Okay, well, I might be mad, but at least there's 1,000 other CEOs who are as mad as I am. So that's a good start. I'm not just completely crazy by myself. So
Exactly. And I think this story is unanimous. Every entrepreneur turned B Corp has this very similar story of I was, a culprit in creating something gross in the world, and I had to find another way.
yeah,
And here we are, finding another way, and
yeah.
hopefully inspiring other people to come along the journey with us.
That's why we're having this chat, because hopefully someone might listen to it and go, okay, yeah, now's my time. I can flip the table. It's okay. It will be okay. I like what they call it, etymology. The study is, I think it's etymology, the study of words. If I've got that wrong, that's embarrassing, isn't it? But the idea of atonement, people kind of almost go, there is almost, I feel, an underlying quasi spirituality or spiritualness nature, or some connection to spirituality that you have when you go on this journey of disconnecting from the bullshit job and the just helping some people make as much money as possible. And I know that it's against my values, but the word atonement, if you break it down, it literally means at one-ment. And I think that that's one of the key things is in the world, that you were in, you were disconnected, you were broken, you were not aligned, you were thinking, feeling, and doing things that weren't aligned. It was all out, you're out of whack. And this idea of atonement, of becoming one, becoming unified, becoming indivisible, you are like this solid being that has a sense of purpose and meaning, and this is my place in the world, and I'm gonna go and do good. Like that is the essence of this, of what I call the purpose fuel performance. It's like the super fuel that is in every B Corp that I've interviewed and worked with. It's like there's a secret sauce here. And if every other business, and that's partly why I do this podcast, because I want people to see that this is not just a one-off thing. It's like there are hundreds of people from all over the world who've got this energy in them because they're at one, like they are fully aligned with who they should be, doing what they should be doing.
Yeah. And that at oneness is also at one with the world.
Yeah, totally.
So with the environment and with everybody else around it. And I mean, that comes from sort of deep practices. I'm a Tai Chi instructor. Also, the year that I left, it was 11/11. It was November of 2011. And that summer before that, I had gone and done the Camino de Santiago, which is, if anybody knows, it's a pretty popular spiritual journey. And that was the beginning of my sort of awakening to something is really, really wrong. And there was something, I mean, a lot of people tell you this, there's just something magical in that journey, and doing it on foot. And I guess realizing that you have the power to do that, to go so many miles on foot, without the path in front of you really clear, how you're going to do it, how you're going to get there. And the beauty of doing it I did it with, friends and family, sort of set me up to feel strong enough to flip the table and walk away.
Nice.
And being at one with nature, right? Because there's nothing like a good hike to really put life back into perspective.
Totally. Big vistas, and I guess also a bit of discomfort, putting yourself out there, walking, heat, rain, the weather, just, blisters, all of that. Yeah, so much part of the journey, part of the process. That's super cool. That would definitely be on my bucket list to go and do something like that. I mean, it's that, historically it was a pilgrimage. It was part of atonement. It was part of, doing that, not only to as a sacrifice, but also as part of literally a spiritual journey to connect and find yourself. And I think that I remember I did a purpose workshop years ago with this group, and one of my sort of takeaways was just go and spend some time in the next couple of weeks and just reflect on your life. Like, are you doing what you want to be doing? You know, do you feel that sense of disconnect? And one person emailed me about 3 weeks later to say, I went and did that. I actually took half a day off, and I went and walked up a local hill, and I just sat on top of the hill for a bit and just kind of let stuff bubble up. And I said, you know, how was it? She said, oh, it was an amazing experience. But she said, everyone who I told that I'd done that, they all said I was mad. And you just got to go, but this is part of the problem. Like, the idea that you would take half a day out of an 80, 90-year life just to pause and go, am I doing what I really want to be doing? Am I giving the best? Am I and she's the mad one. It's like, maybe we got that one wrong.
Yeah, maybe we all have that one wrong in society, for sure. For sure. No. Yeah. Make space. That's one thing that I said on a podcast the other day. One of the best things that you can do in your life is make space. I feel like we're trapped in this little rat race of do, so that we don't stop and realize, wait, I don't want to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
There's a better way. There's something more that's calling me.
Yeah. The busyness of busyness. It's that sort of modern, if you're not doing, then you're not, what are you doing? I think it's kind of funny because I always feel like we should rename ourselves human doings rather than human beings, because we do spend so much time being human doings that we actually don't spend much time reflecting on what am I meant to be, and am I being present, am I being impactful, am I being who I should even be. We're a strange bunch, like how we've actually managed to not just kill each other and destroy the planet completely before now. I actually think it's a bit of a minor miracle. I mean, we're doing some pretty good jobs around the world, but I mean, we're pretty mucked up as a species on so many levels. Like how society actually functions on a day-to-day basis. I think it's a small miracle.
But it does. And it is a miracle that we have this gift of all of it, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, I guess at the end of the day, it's all still in balance somehow. I mean, I would like us to be able to restore it a little bit to,
there's probably what we could do around the edges.
What it was. And I think that we have the ability to do it. We just have to care a little bit more, and all of us need to be a little bit more in balance. It's not enough for 5% of us to be in balance. Like, we need to widen that number.
100%. So getting back to B Corp and yourself. So you like I say, we're very aligned. I'm a 3 times B Corp as well. Did you just get the email alerting you to your next recertification? Mine came through this last week, so yours might not be too far away if you haven't just got it.
I haven't gotten it yet, but it's the back of my psyche. And I went to big conference in Vancouver and sat on the new standards and freaked out. I have done this far. I have done them all by myself, just solopreneur, and this one, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be caught. You or Nathan or Miranda and being like, oh, okay. Or Carolina and being like, I need help this time.
Like, shit's got real. Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
In a way, I'm super happy to know that they are trying to spread the love amongst all of the categories, so that, in the past you could be kind of a strictly environmental company or a strictly social company, and now they're like, no, we really do believe in the people, planet, and profit thing, so we want you to make sure you include all those 3 Ps. So that'll be interesting to see how some of these corporations that lean heavily one way or the other are able to balance that.
Yeah, I was initially pretty scared as well, even for my own business. I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to meet these standards if there's, but actually I think I've been through quite a few of the draft consultations, I'm feeling less concerned. I think, having looked at it, that the minimum requirements would be what I currently coach people to do anyway, across all the sections. Like we try and get most people to have some basics across all of the sections, and that's part of, I guess, the coaching that I provide is, well, this is how you go do it. Here's an example. Like it's actually quite achievable. So yeah, having had a look at it, I think it's actually going to be not as scary as I first thought. But I agree. I think having it balanced is going to be good. My only concern in the back of my mind is, will we lose some of those kind of like middle ground businesses who maybe aren't committed on one or the other, but at the minute they would still be a B Corp, and that's good because that's more influence, that's more community, that's, and once you're in, you can then be worked on around, hey, look, actually you might now be more aware of why doing that good socially or environmentally is a thing. So that's my only concern, is do we lose that middle ground of people who might have been convinced to go on an impact journey, who now just kind of go, oh, actually this is too hard for me, or yeah, I just can't meet that requirement on that one thing, so yeah, I'm out. That's my big concern now, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I think it's just a big we'll see. I think that there are people like myself and like you that would probably jump through hoops at anything to keep that certification and
Pretty
figure
much.
out a way.
Yeah.
But we can't, you hear the saying all the time, we can't just preach to the choir. Like, we need to be able to bring in companies that are on the fence, or that think that they can do it, but it's going to take them a little longer to do it. Obviously, I'm eternally grateful that the standards are as rigorous as they are currently, because there is, especially now, 7 years ago was it was a different animal when we first got certified. But now that everybody is sustainable, I mean, go to any website and look at their sustainability claims. Hello, greenwashing.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing it, right? Everybody says that they're doing it. And it's easy marketing speak, coming from a branding standpoint. It's easy to, say that you're doing these things. And in the United States, for example, we have zero repercussion to saying something that you're not doing. I know Europe is a little bit different, and they're, holding people's feet to the fire, and really making them actually walk the talk and fining them for talking about stuff that they're not doing. However, don't have that in the United States. Most places probably don't have that. So everybody's saying that they're sustainable. Everybody has sustainability claims. Everybody's green. Everybody's purpose driven. But are they really? What are the metrics around it? What are you doing? Can I, even 1% for the planet is a beautiful program, because at least, like, here's a minimum 1% of everything we sell. Every dollar that you spend with me, that 1% is going right back to an environmental nonprofit. At least that's a metric. But just saying that you're green and saying that you're donating a part of your proceeds, like, what's this mystery number, or what's a part of profits? We all know that corporations don't have profits, because that's how they get away with not paying taxes. So if there's no profits, there's no money going back.
Yeah.
So those are the standards that I'm just really thankful for, because I know that when I place my trust and my money with a B Corp, that there's metrics behind it, real metrics, that a third party has said, they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this. Does that mean that they're infallible? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
People run corporations, even B Corps. There's going to be slip ups. There's going to be whoopsies. There's going to be people that don't have our same ethos running those companies sometimes. But in the long run, they're going to get caught. Like, somebody's going to be like, yo, you have a little bee there, and I see that you're doing this.
Yep.
So people are going to hold them to a higher standard. And hopefully B Lab will be like, yeah, this is, not right, and we're going to revoke your B.
Yeah, no, totally. I say it all the time, like, B Corp's not perfect. It's, there's plenty of stuff that could be better with it. There's some things with it I don't necessarily, always agree with, but it's the best standard we've got. And it's better that we all get behind a fallible, non-perfect global standard and make it better over time, rather than not. So yeah, what else would you guys do?
What's the alternative?
Yeah.
What's the alternative? The alternative is listening to people's marketing BS. I come from that world. It's all BS.
Bloody marketing people.
There are people doing the work. But a lot of it is greenwashing. A lot of it is making, focusing on the one or two really cool things that you're doing, and Sort of, let's don't smoke and mirrors. Let's not look at this over here.
Yeah.
Where at least the B Corp standard is saying, well, let's put all our chips on the table.
Mm.
Let me see your ugly and how you plan to make that ugly pretty.
Totally. And that would lead into, I think, you, in terms of your area of expertise, what is the way to avoid greenwashing? But also, there's green hushing, where people don't want to talk about even the good that they're doing for fear of being, lambasted or criticized for it not being perfect. What are your, like, I don't know, top 2 or 3 tips for nailing authentic communication around the good that you do?
I think that the number one tip about nailing authentic, sustainable communication is really taking people on the journey with you. So if you say, I'm falling short here, and this is what we're working on, rather than just showing all of the good, I think that that's a really important thing. And just, own up to it. If you screw up, oh my God, own up to it. Like, the worst thing you want to do is cover it up.
Mm.
Turn it into a story, turning it into a learning opportunity. And then, and sharing your successes, especially if they include, your clients, your customers. How is your sustainability impacting them? And tell that story.
100%.
And then don't lie.
Yeah.
Don't lie.
I'm glad that you, because that's pretty, I'm not a marketing branding guru like yourself, but that's pretty much the message that I say to all our B Corp clients is just be authentic and tell the good and the bad. And there's always going to be, it's like, never read the comments on the newspaper. There's always going to be idiots who are just trolling and looking to make your day worse. But if you engage your stakeholders, and there's a couple of Lucy from the podcast earlier on today, and also Perry Drysdale from Untouched World. They both had great examples. Perry's was they initially went to biodegradable plastic bags to ship all they're a clothing brand. So they went to plastic bags, biodegradable plastic bags. But then they actually did the research and realized these aren't biodegradable. So they went back to plastic bags, and a lot of their customers were up in arms, like, oh, you're a B Corp, you're sustainable, blah blah blah. But they fronted it and said, look, we've actually done the research. They said, okay, but then they were like, okay, maybe we should have pre-communicated why we're doing this. But once they had communicated why they did it, the customers were like, oh, okay, right, we get it. Oh, so we've kind of been sold a bit of a lie by this whole industry. And they're like, well, yeah. And the same with Lucy today, that she was talking about how they used to have this krill oil product, but they did the research and worked out that actually krill oil is really unsustainable. How krill is harvested is, there's some really, damaging environmental practices. So they've made the decision to stop stocking it. But they were perhaps handled it better, where they went on a preemptive journey and emailed all their customers and said, look, we're no longer going to stock this. This is why, we've done the research. But I think the other part with both of them is to be flexible on your opinion when you get better information around, what and how you're doing it. So I think it, and for me, this is one of the, a couple of the core tenets of B Corp is transparency and accountability. Be honest and transparent with what you're doing. Be accountable for your actions. And I think us in the rest of the world have to recognize there's no perfect company. There's no 200-point B Corp. No one's won B Corp yet. Most of the B Corps are trying to do the best that they can with what they've got. No one's perfect. No individual is living a perfect life with no negative impact. So,
Right, you wouldn't be alive, you would be dead, because it's
it's gonna sit here.
just
I'm not gonna breathe.
And you breathing is gonna be.
Yeah,
but anyway,
it's an issue. Yeah, can you just calm it down a bit?
we're all gonna create impacts all the time, especially when you're talking about corporations, because we are using the resources from the planet to create those things. So how do we do it in a way that we maintain balance? In some companies, regenerative, like I hear people talking about this, and I love the thought of it, of creating regenerative practices where it actually benefits the earth or people, or beyond the negative impact that it might have or the resources it might use up. But honestly, we're not even at sustainability yet. So let's get that right. I mean, kudos to the brands that are actually can prove that they're regenerative. Yay. go. I mean, look at Allbirds, and I don't, I haven't looked very much at their metrics, but it looks like they have some solid regenerative practices going on there. And hopefully one day all companies can be regenerative, but until that point, let's just work on sustainability, and like, that's cool. Just being in balance and saying that everything that I do to make a paycheck at least is not going to have a negative impact on the planet. Like, I'm going to do better here, and I'm going to use a little here because I don't know, I have to use a computer, and I have to use energy, and I have to drive a car. So how do I make up for that somewhere else? But let's stay in balance. And I mean, I think that is the key, balance. Unfortunately, we are so not in balance that it's going to take some work to get there.
That's why a phrase that I use all the time is, never forget that the light bulb was invented under candlelight. We are in candlelight trying to get to the regenerative future. You can't just switch everything off today, and it's not just going to miraculously appear next week without some effort. But it's how quickly we can get the light bulb invented. But it feels like there's a bunch of very smart people working on all sorts of crazy ideas and technologies that are pushing us in that right direction. So hopefully,
my issue with the smart people is that they're too smart for their own good, though. Coming from I do a lot of work in the blue tech space, and I love to work with, these people that are super geeky, super techy, super sciencey, but sometimes I feel like I have to pull them back and be like, okay, you have nailed the numbers in this small square, but it's a little bit, science is very myopic. So when you come and you scan out, you realize that by making this thing perfect, you have like destroyed some stuff over here. So that's where the science and the creativity need to sort of balance.
It's the Tai Chi, the yin and the yang.
You need to come back out and have somebody that it can sort of look at a bigger picture and be like, I love what you're doing, and let's make sure that it doesn't do this, and this, and this over here.
That's that's sort of the world of unintended consequences. There's an interesting, so I'm in the middle of writing a book, and one of the bits I'm going to reference is unintended consequences. So be careful of the impact that you're trying to make. So I'll give away this section of the book. The guy who invented the plastic shopping bag thought he was saving the planet because they were chopping so many trees down to make paper bags. He took this waste byproduct from the petrochemical industry and was able to make this really thin plastic bag. So, genius. Like, I've saved the planet. And then, 60 years or whatever it was, I think it was in the 60s, he invented it. Fast forward, however many was it? I don't know how many years was it from the 60s to when plastic bags are now banned in New Zealand, So, but
good for you.
But then you kind of reflect on that and go, okay, well, but unless they are made in a sustainable manner, then actually you are chopping down trees for your shopping. So, and I think that this is every conversation I have on this podcast. I just keep coming back to doing good is not black and white. It is grey, it's nuanced, it's tricky. You're going to do, like you say, you're going to do some good here, but it's going to create some bad over here. And we need to make sure that either we mitigate that or we minimize that or somehow we isolate it or whatever, so that we're constantly navigating the path to, which is why our B Corp coaching program, we call it Be Better. It's like, just use B Corp, use the philosophy of B Corp to be better, recognizing that you're not probably going to be perfect yet.
It's a journey, it's not a destination.
100%.
And when we learn more, then we shift, we pivot again, right? So that guy that created the what's that saying, that the path to hell is paved with good intentions?
Good intentions. Yeah. 100%.
That's the same thing. Like, you think you're saving the planet, you think you're doing all of this stuff, and then the unintended consequences are disastrous. So when we learn this, we shift.
Yep.
We shift. I think the problem is that the capitalistic society we live in, the people that are making those plastic bags are making so much money from it that they are not willing to let us shift. So the thing is to hide it, to blame the consumer, to whatever millions of things that they're currently doing. Why can't we just shift? I'm sure that there's
Yeah,
another model where we can all make money and continue our lives, and do just a little bit better.
I, I totally agree. And I think, you're a part of that. Every interaction you have with a company, and the energy you're bringing, and the philosophy and the principles, yeah. And I think also, don't underestimate the number of people you've probably had a conversation with who haven't come back to you for work or whatever, but they've actually gone away and gone, oh, actually, she was right. And maybe, it takes 5, 6, 10 years for them to go on that journey, to go on their pilgrimage, to go, oh, yeah, okay, I get it now. It's like if I didn't
I
become
think
like a Men in Black little thing to go and just like get people to see it instantly. But I think that's part of that's all part of life's journey, isn't it? And I think that's generally the thing. Like, the journey that we've both been on is part of that hero's journey. It's like you're stuck in the Shire, the call to adventure, the trials and tribulations, starting your own business, young family. Oh my gosh, like I've just burnt all my ships on the beach. I've got nowhere to go. But I think you've got a richer story from that, and you've ended up in a really meaningful, purposeful place doing some really cool stuff. Which, if you'd, as you've said, if you were stuck in that job still, you'd just be a hollow shell of a human.
right. I would be a hollow shell of a human. I'd have a good amount of vacation time.
She says in Spain for 6 weeks. Behave.
True vacation.
Oh, well, you want 12
time,
weeks? You want 12 weeks vacation in Spain?
Sheesh. Just turn my phone off. But would that make it all okay? Heck no. Heck no. I would rather, be doing this and be part of this movement in the middle of my vacation than being the Sirena that was stuck at that cubicle pretending that everything was okay.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what does, I mean, I think it's clear that B Corp is something you're probably equally as passionate about as I am. But can you kind of articulate what being a B Corp means to you?
I mean, it means that I'm part of something bigger. It means that when when I get so down because maybe my Instagram feed is full of it seems that the only thing that people care about is having a really great booty in their pants or slimming their waist in their bathing suit. I'm able to go, it's okay, Serena. One day those brands will be B Corps and they'll be making a positive impact as well. I'm able to sort of pull myself back and say, or when I hear about environmental disasters, or I see what's happening with our ocean, or I see, where I live, there was a fish kill another fish kill. It's like an every summer thing now. I'm able to say that I'm at least working to be part of the solution. I know that everything that I'm doing is not gonna stop the fish from dying tomorrow, but baby steps and education and making sustainability part of everybody's life every day. So the more I can educate you on what that little B means, maybe the more people will buy into being better. And if the only thing you do is switch your shopping habits to include more B Corp logos in your shopping cart or on your clothes, I've made a difference. And
Nice.
obviously, in my own company, I make a difference, and I am 1% for the planet, and I can do that. But of course, that's like peanuts. I'm a little company, right? But if I can influence people to change their shopping habits, awesome. And that's just the educational piece and being part of that movement of saying it's little tiny baby steps, but we'll get there hopefully before time is up.
That's the thing. Yeah. But I think, yeah, you like I say, don't underestimate. It takes a global community of businesses of all size, and yeah, the impact that you're having. And I think for both of us, when we're in these kind of nascent B Corp worlds, trying to, it's the old Malcolm Gladwell flywheel effect. You have poured so much water into that top bucket on the flywheel, and it's you and thousands of other small businesses have all been dripping bits of water into that. So I think it's don't underestimate the impact that you've had. But it's hard to quantify it. But then sometimes I think there's some things that shouldn't be quantified. It is the unquantifiable. But and equally, I love your go and support B Corps. It's so easy now to go and find a B Corp to buy the stuff that you're normally buying. Even our local suburban supermarket here in the South Island of New Zealand. So Unilever Australia New Zealand is now a B Corp, and they have got an in-store activation, like little aisle banners saying buy this brand. It says buy better, buy B Corp, and it's like, oh my god, like this is suburban, rural South Island New Zealand is promoting B Corp. Like you could knock me down with a feather. It's like, cannot believe this is actually happening. So it's now it's increasingly easier to even just start supporting a B Corp. So that nutrition brand is called Ollie, not I can't remember what I said earlier on, but yeah, Ollie.
Oh, yes, my daughter takes some of their supplements because of course my children are always like, I need this, I need that. And the first thing I say is it a B Corp? Look for the B Corp first. If
So
you cannot find a B Corp, then we will talk. But first look for the B Corp.
So yeah, that was the brand, the guy in CVS in just outside Phoenix. I doubt you're listening, but if you are listening, it was great to chat to you. Hopefully you've converted some of your other customers to B Corp brands.
That's awesome.
Have you got a favorite B Corp in your pantry or a client that you've worked with?
No, my clothes, Patagonia, of course. As a somebody who loves to hike, and of course I need to have gear because that is something that's technical that you need to buy, that at least that I know that anything that I buy from them is creating a positive ripple effect, and that they work really hard at being both good for the planet and the absolute best product. Like I have never bought anything where I'm like, oh, this tore, or this isn't good, or this is so they have to be my favorite. They're also just the biggest and the most well-known, and like my sort of, when I was introduced to them and I was introduced to Yvon Chouinard and his book Let My People Go Surfing, I was just like, yes, this is my lifestyle. This is where I want to go. This is who I want to be when I grow up. But a little B Corps that I love. Well, then you get into the ones that I know. So, like tea companies. And of course, I want to support anybody that's in the south of the United States because it is so tough for B Corps there. But now I'm blanking.
Okay.
Any B Corp is a good B Corp.
There is that. I would tend to agree.
And you were asking me earlier if there was any company that I wish was a B Corp. Lush Cosmetics. Do you know who Lush is?
Yeah, we have them here. They are one that I'm pretty sure I will literally just email random companies and go, hey, have you heard of B Corp? Because you are totally a B Corp without the B. You should look into it.
They were a B Corp before the B existed. They're such an amazing company. And I think that they don't want to be a B Corp just because it's not in their anti-branding ethos,
right.
Which I can totally respect as a brand marketing person, that they're like anti-marketing. And I get it. But if you want to see how a B Corp is ran, Lush is a perfect example. They're just so cool. They're such a great company. I wish that we could bring them into the fold just so that B Corp could have the power of Lush behind it versus the other way around.
Yeah. Who needs who more? Yeah.
But hey, that was like my wish. If I had a wish of a brand that could become a B Corp, it would be Lush.
Nice. And future plans for you? Obviously, like we saw both of us research, peeking around the corner. Is there any particular? I mean, it's going to be hard to know whether we will actually be on the new assessment or not. I also I've heard a rumor that possibly existing B Corps where, you've built your business around the old model, we might be given more of a grace period to transition to the new, but that's complete rumor, nothing confirmed. But yeah, is there any particular focus you've got over the next year or so around your own impact and doing more good?
Um, Around my own impact, I'm a little bit at a sticky point in my business and in my impact, because I'm at capacity, and I really want to grow both my impact and my business. So that would mean maybe bringing some more people on. So that's my impact, was to be able to impact more people,
Yep.
be able to impact more brands, by growing.
Nice.
I don't know what that's gonna look like, but it would be great to have some more creatives on my team that get to work for B Corps,
Nice.
be a B Corp and work for purpose-driven businesses with their talents.
I'm sure there are many, many people like you were in 2010, 2011, just sitting there going, if I have to, well, and possibly even people going, if I have to tell this AI bot to rework this image one more time to sell more crap that no one needs, I'm out of here. I'm sure there's going to be a willing market of people who want to come and hang out with the boss of impact-driven marketing and branding.
And that AI thing that you just brought up is a whole nother can of worms that I am sure that the companies like We Are Neutral have metrics around, but the impact of using AI models, what is that? That there's a pretty steep energy consumption there. And are we looking at that? And if we are looking at, how are we going to offset it? Because we can't stop using it, because it's
Yep.
just part of the game now. So then we have to offset that. Are we looking at that?
Yeah, they're just a whole. There's just like wheels within wheels and worlds within worlds. Yeah, I doubt it. Let's be honest. But also the social impact of, it's one thing to have a model who's airbrushed to create, seemingly unobtainable levels of beauty, but to be able to actually just create. What was that? There was that famous movie from the 80s where those two guys create. Is it Denise
Weird
Richards?
science.
Yeah, who like create
Weird
perfect.
science.
Yeah, it's like, if you literally are creating from scratch the most beautiful thing in the world, like, you've got no chance. Like,
Yeah.
it's one thing to maybe meet that person or see them on the catwalk or at a show and go, oh, actually, she had quite a lot of makeup on, or that guy, clearly he's got a lot of, whatever going wrong with him. At least you can see that in reality. But for
Yeah.
something that you may not even know is AI, that looks, yeah, I don't know, whole other world with a almost teenage daughter. It's fairly front of mind, all of this stuff. And we keep having the conversation around, there's a whole lot of stuff that you're going to see that's just not even real. So
It's not even real. Yeah.
don't compare, don't get stressed, don't. Yeah, but it's tough.
It is tough, especially for younger people that are, and so much more influenced by it. Like, I do feel like I have a better capacity to be able to walk away from that stuff, just because I grew up without it, right? But my children, I I I don't, I see it, like I have to pry these things out of their hands and be like, no, we're going to the beach and you're not having a phone for the next 4 hours. What?
You're depriving me of oxygen. I'm going to report you. I'm going to ring the Guardia Civil, or whatever they're called.
Yeah, they want to really mean, exactly. The military police.
Nice. Arrest this woman. She's depriving me of my human rights. Yeah, I'll deprive you of an arm in a minute if you don't shut up. Yeah. Oh, dearie me. Look, we have gone a bit over time, so I don't want to chew up any more of your busy, tough day there in Spain.
Yes,
doing
very
awesome
tough day.
family stuff. Yeah, tough day. Beach again. All right, if we have to. But no, since we first connected, we connected. I think it was quite a few years ago now. I believe it might have been at least 2 or 3 years ago. It must be at least.
At least, yeah, at least
Before,
3.
definitely before
Maybe,
COVID.
maybe during COVID.
It might have been sometime around then. Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, I just like I said, I think we're two peas in the pod. We're similar experience of getting out of the corporate world, starting B Corps in small communities where no one knew what the hell we were on about. Just constantly having to talk about it, and I just love your vibe and energy, and I just think we're quite similar in that regard. And so I can't believe it's taken me this long to get you on the podcast, to be honest. So,
Well, I'm
but
happy to be
we've
here.
done it.
Thank you for
We've done
inviting
it.
me.
Well, thank you. But I just keep up, keep up the great work. Like I said, I just don't underestimate the impact that you will be having out there that you won't get any reward or recognition for, because that's just how it is. No one emails you 5 years later to say, hey, you gave a talk, or I listened to your podcast 5 years ago and you inspired me. Like you get 1 in 10,000 of those, emails.
Yeah.
So don't underestimate the little ripples of impact that you're making. And keep on doing the good work you do.
Thank you. And you too. I know that, you're in this exact same boat, and don't underestimate, the power that we have by just hopefully inspiring people to understand that there's a different way. And you're right. They might be on that Camino de Santiago, or who knows what hike where. And it might dawn on them that, oh, wow, yeah, this is worth saving. This is worth doing something about. Like, I want my kids to experience this too.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, I think more and more people are having those moments. So yeah, fingers crossed. Well, you go and have an awesome day. Thank you so much. And no doubt we need to connect more often and do some more. I know we've done a couple of panel events over the years and stuff like that. So we need to find an excuse to do something soon. But yeah.
Yes, of course. Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
We'll
for
see you
having
later.
me, Tim.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, it's Tim here, that B Corp bloke from Grow Good. If you want more content on purpose, B Corp, how to do more good in the world as an individual or a business, then you know the drill. Hit the like and subscribe. Check out some of our other videos. They're probably floating around here somewhere. You know how it works. Thank you so much. See you next time.